All right, guys, the long-awaited X2 MACFOX review. I'm very excited for this one because I did the X1, loved it. It was $1,000 and it was like $100 off using my coupon code. Now this thing did get expensive because it has full suspension now. Got turn signals, half twist throttle, 7-speed right here. Huge, nice headlight that has a high and low beam. Looks fantastic. We'll check it out in another video at night. You got a handle back here to, you know, hike your friends or whatever on a skateboard. Long saddle seat. They give you metal pedals. I'll get in here with the camera in a little bit and show you that. They also upgraded the power from 500 watts to 750 watts. This has a peak of 1,000. But make sure if you guys are gonna buy this bike, do not spend $1,700 on this bike. Make sure you use my discount code down in the description, and I'll also put it on the screen right there so you know the coupon code in checkout. Then we'll take $150 off this bike, so it'll make it $1,550. Highly recommend it because it also helps out the channel as well and helps you save some money. All right, so here is the bike. Let's start off in the front and kind of go over some of it. Up here, you have some cheap grips. I'm not a big fan of them. I do like the half twist throttle though. Thumb throttle or half twist throttle, I love it. Hydraulic brakes right here, they feel very good. I'll test them out later in the video. 7-speed by Shimano right here. Nice cable management in the front. This is actually very nice. You got some BMX handlebars that rise up pretty high in my opinion, but we'll see how it is on the road when we're riding. DIY Island, that's what these brakes are called. You got your display right here. If I swing around, you can turn it on by using this power button right here. You just hold it for a little bit, takes a little bit, and then it comes on. You can have a backlight on it if you hold this right there, so there you go. This doesn't do anything with the headlight. Your headlight switch is actually gonna be right here, so you hit this for the headlight to come on, and you can turn that off if you push it again. Then you also have a high and low beam, so you can do that as well. And it looks like even if you do not have this pushed, if I can get that in frame, this just seems like it turns it on and off regardless, so I guess you don't have to use that. And then you have your turn signals as well. So here's the turn signals right there. Very bright. You have them in the front and you also have them in the back as well on this brake light right here. So that's pretty cool. And the brake light will only work if this is pushed. So even if you control this to get the headlight to turn on and off, you still have to have this bottom button on for this to light up. The turn signals look brighter than the brake light, in my opinion. Now looking at the front suspension, if I bring you in here with a camera, you can see that you have adjustments right here and it says preload. Then you come over to this other side and it says preload as well. So you have preload on both sides. I've actually never seen that on a bike. Normally it'd be like compression and preload or compression and preload. But yeah, well, we have some knobs that we can adjust so we can try to get our suspension feeling the best as possible. And I'm really curious to see how the suspension is because I really want to see if it's worth the price going from the X1 to the X2. Now moving on down here, I haven't shown you yet. This is the motor, 750 watt motor, 1000 watt peak. Got your 7-speed Shimano back here with a derailleur. Nice clean setup. I believe the controller and everything is going to be right tucked down in here, so if you need to get to it, you can access those bolts right there. You have the battery that's sitting right here. This is a 48 volt bike, 20 amp hour battery. You also charge it from this side as well. You got to take this little plastic thing off so water doesn't get into it. It's a little difficult to get off once you push it in there. And then you have a USB right here as well, which is very nice if you need to charge like your accessories, your phone, whatever. So that's pretty cool. But the thing that I noticed is this thing is very wobbly. Like it shouldn't be a problem while riding. Hopefully it doesn't make any noise, but definitely this mount could be a little bit better on the bike. Just something I noticed. You also have a battery indicator light right up here. So if you do take this off, which this is removable, it comes with keys. The keys are right here when you get your bike. I'm not gonna take them off because I'm not taking the battery off and I don't wanna lose these keys. But you can take that off, go charge it in your house, and it takes about 6 to 8 hours to charge this from dead to full. It is a 3 amp charger, so I'd probably charge it overnight, especially if you ride it all day and you basically drain the whole entire battery. Now, as I was looking at this bike, obviously you have a lot of space right here, and that's because you could put a secondary battery right underneath the seat right there. So there's bolt holes right there. You can hook these batteries both up together, and they say with both batteries connected, you'll get 90 miles of range, or up to 90 miles of range. Just depends on how you ride and your weight and what you're riding on. You can get 45 miles out of the single battery, but realistically, that's in mode number 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not gonna be in mode number 3. I'm not gonna be pedaling at all either. So I'm gonna expect I'm probably gonna get like 30 to 35 miles of range out of this bike because it is very light too. It's 65 pounds of a bike. It should feel very comfortable and light and agile on the road. Should be perfectly fine. I actually like light bikes because they just feel so good while riding them around when you can turn them and twist them and do whatever you want. Heavier bikes are a lot harder to get around. So here's the bottom right here with the brakes. You got 180mm brakes, DIY Island. I love the fact that they're red. They kind of stand out because you have the red accents as a MACFOX right there. So I love the look of the bike. The flat black and the little touches of red looks perfectly good. Down here, you're gonna have a motor disconnect, which is very nice because if you get a flat on this bike, it makes it easier just to disconnect it from right there, do the axle bolt, and then you get to slide this whole thing off. And I love the fact, I was surprised that these came with metal pedals, and they actually have grips on them as well. So these should definitely stick to your feet. I'm surprised they opted for this because this is an actual like nice upgrade compared to all the other e-bikes I've got that just come with plastic pedals, or they don't even have these little grooves right there. So props to MACFOX for that. All right, so without further ado, I kind of went over the bike a little bit, gave you some specs, and it's very hot in the garage, so we're gonna take it out with the GoPro, get the wind flowing through us, and let's just see how it is. Let's see if it's worth it. All right, so my first impression was sitting on it and actually riding it, because I did not ride it before making this video. I just wanna make that clear. I have 0.4 miles on it. I just went down the street, and it feels phenomenal. Like the seat feels so comfortable. I love it. And right now we're gonna do a top speed run because we have a full battery charge. So I always like to see what the top speed is before our battery drains down. And right now, that's accurate, it says 29, now 30 miles an hour. It barely touched it. Yeah, there we go. It's bouncing around 30. I am getting a little bit of a harsh noise from the motor when it's hitting about 30. It's almost like a slight grinding noise. Like it's giving off like a weird vibration when it's hitting about 30 miles an hour. It's like it's struggling to like keep that speed, or it's like maxed out in RPM, but it's doing it. 30 miles an hour. I'll pull over here on the side and we'll see if that's accurate. All right, moment of truth. Let's see where we're at. That's, wow, all right, good job. 30.6 miles per hour, so this is 100% accurate. I love the fact that companies are now updating these to the wheels and tires that they put on these bikes, because before, when I was reviewing bikes like a year ago, they were all off by like 3 to 6 miles per hour. And I love the fact that this is saying 30.6. So we're good. So the speed you see on here is accurate, and it did feel pretty fast too as well. Now I can definitely feel that this bike has more power than the X1. The X1 was slow, but it was like a comfortable, slow, fun e-bike. It wasn't like you were trying to get from point A to point B very fast. This one, you could definitely get from point A to point B faster. It's still not gonna blow your socks off in speed. It's still very gradual to get up to speed, but I love the actual added power that they put on here. All right, we're in the designated spot, and we're gonna use the throttle only. I'm gonna have to drop down the gears because we're on 7 right now. That's how it shipped out, but I need to get back to 1, so when we get to the other section, we'll go through the gears and see how it is, the ghost pedal, and we'll only use the pedals in the second section. So right now, throttle only. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, gradual start. 5, 9, 12, 13, 15, 16, 20, roughly. 21, 22, 23, 24. We're gonna, oh, hey, 26. Oh, we almost. So I hit about 25 before we ran out of road. So it's not the fastest e-bike we've been on. Let me go through these gears, so I need to drop these down really quick. So I've had faster e-bikes in the past, but I will say this power is not that bad for what you're getting on this bike. Most bikes in this price range will not come with the stuff that this has. And like I said, it's comfortable more than anything. So all right, we're gonna use the pedals only, and we're gonna see what our top speed is on this little runway. I'll also shift through the gears and we'll see how that is. All right, there we go. All right, nice gradual start. Ghost pedaling, shifting. All the gears feel fine, 15 miles an hour. We're in gear 6, 7, 20 miles an hour, 22, 23. So I felt like I was ghost pedaling at about 20 miles an hour, so it's not the best if you really like to have resistance while pedaling at high speed. This isn't the bike for you. So 27, I saw it. It's not too bad to pedal though. It's just you have no resistance in the pedals at all. So 28 miles an hour before we ran out of road. I like cadence sensors. I'm not a big fan of torque sensors. Torque sensors are if you really do like to pedal and you like to get a workout on your bikes, but I wouldn't prefer it on a moped style e-bike. I do like the cadence sensor overall. So I'm not too mad about it. It's pretty nice. Now the true test that we gotta do right now is we gotta take it off-road. Now that it has full suspension, we gotta see how it performs off-road. But before we go off-road, we gotta do a little hill test right next to this condom. All right, anyways. So hill test, start from the bottom. We're gonna put it just in 5, the max we can go to, and I'm just gonna use the throttle only, and let's see if it takes us up this hill. So 1, 2, 3, go. Nope, nope, she ain't gonna do it. She ain't gonna do it. So let's see if we start from back here and get a slight running start at it, and also pedal as well and see if that helps. So 1, 2, 3, go. Ooh, all right. It got up it, but I felt like the front suspension didn't do much. It literally popped off the ground. So let me see where my settings are at on these. I'm gonna turn these all the way down as much as I can go. All right, so these are now turned all the way to the left. The suspension doesn't feel like it's working as good as I thought it was. It's doing a little bit, but it's not doing a whole lot. Now, if we start from way back here, we're definitely gonna be able to go up this thing no problem. Oh my God. Man, all right, so there you go. It doesn't have that much power. I would have liked to seen a 52 volt, but you know, it is what it is. You're working with 1550 if you use my discount code, so it's still not a bad price for this bike. I don't know how to feel about the suspension yet. I don't know. It's not doing a whole lot. I'm not gonna give it that high of a rating. I definitely feel like all the bumps, the seat takes up a lot of it though because it's so comfortable, but the front, I feel like the front's not doing much at all. I'm gonna have to rate this like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 for the suspension. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with a 6.5. That's not that comfortable. My butt is comfortable because of seat, but my hands, not so much. Oh, poor kitty. All right, so moving on from that, the turning on this bike feels pretty good. These tires are not your average tread that you would get on most tires, so it's kind of made to go off-road and on-road. On-road, they feel perfectly fine. I have these aired up to 19 PSI. I think they go up to 20 max. I never really like to go max PSI on my tires. Sometimes I do 18. If you do want a little bit of a softer ride, if you're gonna take that trail that we just did where I said it was kind of uncomfortable for the suspension, you can definitely air them down to probably like 13 to 15 if you want, and it'll feel a little bit better. But if you want to get the most range out of it, air them up to the max if you really want, and you don't care about how rough it is. But it's doing pretty good on turning, not too bad on these tires. I didn't feel like I was slipping out in the dirt either back there, so it was perfectly fine. So I think right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get up to speed, and I'm gonna try the brake test. We'll do this a couple times, I think. I'm gonna try to do it 2 or 3 times, and we're gonna see where we end up at. So 28 miles per hour right here, and we're gonna slam on the brakes. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We slid a little bit, especially towards the end, this little black line right here, but wow, I stopped right in the beginning of that little platform right there, that little cement slab right there. That's pretty good because some bikes will stop at that line way over there, and I have stopped, I think, before this line on some bikes that only did 20 miles an hour. So this doing 28 miles an hour, that worked pretty damn good. So now what I want to do is I want to go 20 miles an hour. I want to see where we're going to end up at. So just keep in mind this little line right here. I think we're going to be stopping like shortly over here. All right, at 20 miles per hour. That was like 19, 20 miles an hour, and holy moly, I mean, I stopped in the front of the slab, but like, oh man, these brakes are fantastic, especially with this bike being 65 pounds. You can't go wrong. They have very, very high-end brakes on this thing for how light the bike is, and the tires are helping as well. But wow, that's actually really fantastic. Another thing I think you guys are gonna like about this bike too is sometimes bikes don't have a very good turning radius, and it's not really gonna help you when you're actually out riding because you're not gonna turn this sharp. But when you're moving it around your garage, your storage unit, wherever you're gonna set this bike up, or you're locking it up somewhere on a bike rack, it is nice to have a decent turning radius. But something I wanna keep in mind and let you guys know is that this is hitting the frame. So if I can get down here with the GoPro, see that section right there? When I move this, look, it's actually like etched in right there. So you have these little pads, and I thought these pads were supposed to be for this. They don't come in contact with that at all. They don't even reach. So those aren't touching on my side whatsoever. So I'm already gonna start making a groove right here. So I'll show you. Look at that. I already made a little indent on this side just because of that. So a little oversight on that, but if you want, you can put some little rubber stoppers right here and you should be good. Also, you can have a bag up here, and it's an accessory on their website. If you want to buy that, you can put that here, and it's about like yay high. We're gonna get that in the second video, so when I take this to work, we should have the bag. You can also get fenders for this as well. You do have holes for the fenders right there, and I think one right there. So we'll put fenders on this the next time we ride it as well. Those should be coming. Now the next thing I like to do is we need to see how responsive the throttle is. So let's see that right now. So 1, 2, 3. Whoa, it's very fast. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's almost instant. It's like a quarter of a second. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, not even half a second. That's like a quarter of a second. Like I said, that is quick, man. Absolutely quick. I love that. So whatever controller and software they're using, perfectly fine. I love that. You can definitely make sure you're on the way as soon as you want to use the power when you need it. So that's awesome. Now let's try out the pedals real quick. We're in 5, so 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, just how you would like the pedals to be. Just how you would love the pedals to be. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's nice. Like a half rotation, and it's already moving. That is great. It's like half a second delay, and that's perfect. You never want it to be too quick, because if you ever move it ever so slightly and it just takes off on you randomly, you don't want that. You definitely want to know that you're pedaling for it to engage, and that is just good job on them. This whole system right here is working for the bike. The only thing I keep noticing when I'm looking down is that my battery is crooked. If you guys can see that, try to get a good look out of it. It's more on this side, if you guys can tell. So the battery is just, it's holding on. I'm just not a fan of that bracket. So I mean, if you really think like it's gonna fall off, get some Velcro straps and you can like strap it around the bottom and whatnot. I don't think it's gonna fall off. It's not really pleasing to look at, just kind of vibrating and sitting there like it's almost about to come loose. Now, one thing I would have liked to seen on this bike is a horn. They don't give you a bell or anything, and honestly, I don't really care for bells, but most bike companies will send you at least a bell. You don't even get that. But a horn would have been nice. I feel like they could have definitely fit one on here on this side, but it is what it is. Back on the bumpy terrain. It's doing it, guys, but my expectation for this bike to be more comfortable, it's not meeting that expectation. That's all I'm saying. Definitely better than the X1, but I feel like they could have done better, especially for the extra 550 bucks when using my discount code. Let's take it off the curb. Let's see how it does. I don't think it's gonna do very well. All right, well, actually, it wasn't that bad, but the landing could have been a bit softer. It felt a little bouncy, but not terrible. I think what I'm really most impressed about this bike is the speed it hits for the price and just how comfortable it is. If you want to bring your girlfriend along, you can have her sit right in the front or right behind you and hold on to you in the back, and you can definitely have enough room. Because look at all this room. I'm sitting right on the back of the seat. It's not uncomfortable. My hands are extended, so I probably want to move the handlebars back. But you can definitely have someone ride with you. It's pretty nice. I don't really have too big of a complaint about this bike. I thought the handlebars set a little too high when I was sitting in it in my garage. But as I'm riding it, it's actually a very comfortable stance. It's not hurting my back whatsoever. I do feel like they're a little taller than what I would like them to be, because I like having like a low-rise handlebar, just because I feel more connected to the road. You have better steering and it just feels more aggressive in your hands. But it's definitely gonna be comfortable for everybody out there. And I'm not mad about it either. I can deal with this. So let's do this and let's come up this. Wow, this Tesla speeds past us. Woo! Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yee! Grip for days on the sides. Grip for days. Ooh, like I said, just a little bumpy. Little bumpy. I feel like the rear shocks definitely help along with the seat. I don't think they're the best still, but they really should have done something with the front suspension to be a little bit. And the only thing that I notice while riding this thing is just that little motor vibration. When I'm doing about 30 miles an hour, it just kind of feels like a slight grinding noise. It doesn't feel like anything's breaking. It just feels like that motor is just working itself. I do love the fact that you have turn signals on this bike, front and back. We showed you earlier, dedicated headlight button, which turns on the daytime running light. If you don't have this on, then you have your high and low beam. if I'm not mistaken, I think even with this off, I think your daytime running light stays on. Yeah, so even if you don't have the headlight button, you're gonna have a daytime running light, and when you do hit this, that's when your low beam comes on, and then that's when your high beam goes on. So that's how it works. Let me turn the turn circles off just because someone might see me turning and get scared. Let's go in the shade real quick and I'll show you guys where we're at. We did 6 miles so far. And I wanna see what my phone GPS says as well and see how accurate that is. So on here, it says exactly 6 miles for both. So this is spot on accurate on everything. So that's actually pretty crazy. I'm gonna give 11 out of 10 points for that. I've never seen a bike be that accurate in range and speed as well. Whatever they did a perfect job on that. I gotta give them props. This is the first bike ever I reviewed that everything matched up to what my phone says. Crazy. As I'm riding back home right now, I'm gonna give you my final thoughts in a second, but I have noticed, and I'm not a big fan of these grips, I might have mentioned it already, but they do move. I mean, it takes a little bit of a movement to get them moving, but not a huge fan. They're not locking, and they feel very cheap. Now, grips are grips regardless, but I would have liked to seen something that kind of grips my hand a little bit better and didn't move on me. So I don't really like the grips, but I will give them props for the half throttle. Half throttles are nice, or a thumb throttle. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on this bike. Let me kind of run over the pros and cons to kind of give you an idea if this bike might be worth it for you or not. So the huge pros on this thing, I feel like, is the seat. It's so comfortable. I don't know what they're putting in this. I don't know if it's memory foam. I don't know. I just know that the seat is very comfortable and it's very long. So depending on how you want to ride, you could also move the bars back and forth if you want, but you can sit here, here, and here. I'll also sit on it for you because I don't think I did that in the beginning of the video. So this is how I sit on it. I'm 5'9", 5'10", roughly around there. And I could put my feet flat on the ground for the most part. Very comfortable, but like I said, you can sit up here and then you can sit way back here and you can have someone else be right here as well. You just have to figure out a spot for their feet or anything like that because there are no pegs on this bike. And there is no hole for pegs either, so they just have to wrap them around you or something, I don't know. But the headlight is one of the biggest pros on this as well. We'll take it in the second video and I'll show you guys exactly how that looks like, so subscribe if you want to see that. The tires are nice, the upgraded motor is very nice. The battery, for being 20 amp hours on this bike with the amount of power it has, you're definitely going to get some very, very good range out of it. I did 7.5 miles on this trip and I went down the first battery bar right when it hit exactly 7.0 miles, and that's 100% accurate. So I love the fact that this is all working with the bike. You know exactly your speed you're going, exactly how many miles that you're riding. I love that. You don't need your phone for any of the GPS or anything like that like you normally need on other bikes. So that's a huge, huge plus to me. The cons on this thing are actually the things I thought were going to be pros on the X2, but they're not. Now they added suspension front and back. The suspension on the front is just, it's not doing it. The suspension on the front just does not move enough for my weight. I'm 165, 170 pounds. Maybe if you're a little bit heavier, you'll have a little bit, better riding experience. But this bike only holds someone up to 220 pounds, which is not a lot. My Talaria XXX holds someone that's 225 pounds, and I think it just came out with one that does, I think, 240, 250 pounds. But anyways, this is not a bike for big people, so you have to probably be in the 200-pound range or less to be able to ride this thing. Now, I do like that it has a brake light, but the con is that this brake light does not work with any of these brake levers, so when you hit these brakes, it doesn't get brighter. That was a huge missed opportunity. I feel like bikes that go class 3, 28 miles an hour, and this one does 30, we should have had something on the back. But going back to one of the pros really quick, I'm surprised on the pedals that they put on this bike. They're metal and they have little locking little metal pieces on them. I like that, but if you do slip out on them and they hit your shins, it's definitely gonna take a chunk out of your skin. But I love the fact that they put those on there because most bikes just come with cheap plastic pedals, and I don't argue with it because, what the hell was that? Anyways, I don't argue with it just because I understand you're just resting your feet there. You're not gonna do anything crazy, but if you wanna go off-road with this thing, your feet are definitely gonna stick onto these pedals, so you shouldn't have any worry. The only thing I think you're gonna be worried about is popping out of your seat because the suspension is just not as soft as I thought it was gonna be. But to tackle that issue, I think I already talked about it. All you have to do is air these tires down a little bit more and you'll get more of a comfortable ride, but you're not gonna get the range that you're guaranteed if you have a flatter tire. So I like the bike overall, but I have to say that the X1 is still the best value for the money. You can't go wrong. You can use my code on the X1. It makes it $899 instead of $1,000. If you buy this one, it's $1,700 that I said, but do not buy it at the original MSRP. Use my coupon code, takes $150 off. This will bring it down to $1,550, which makes it reasonable. But I will say, I would have liked to seen this bike in about the $1,300 range, maybe the $1,400 range, like at the max, because all they really did is add suspension. I mean, they did change the pedals, but they didn't need to change the pedals. The headlight is definitely different from the other one. But that's really it. I mean, there's just slight changes, but I feel like all they needed to do was add like rear suspension and front suspension, and I think everyone would have been happy with the X2 that way. But they just kind of went a little bit overboard, and that's why the price is where it's at right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I do like the bike. I'm gonna take it to work in the next video. I don't know. We'll see how I feel when I take a 14-mile trip, and we'll also see what our range is as well. But I'm excited for it. So stick around to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for sticking around. You guys are the true MVPs. If you guys want to join the channel, you guys can. Links down in the description as well. Peace out.